Hi, today I'm here to talk about how we help our customers with their data protection solutions using best of breed technologies from Dell EMC. Traditional data protection can be complicated and it's constantly changing. The great news is that Dell EMC have recently launched a product which alleviates these concerns by fully addressing the data protection into a single integrated appliance which is simple to deploy and scale, called IDPA. IDPA consists of AVMR, which is the backup software, and data domain, which is the disk-based backup device. And IDPA runs ESXi as its operating system. Both AVMR and data domain are virtual machines inside IDPA. So the orchestration layer to manage the IDPA is called Data Protection Central, through which you'll manage the entire appliance. So customers, when we configure the backups, customers will have a virtual machine or a physical server which will write backups into the IDPA appliance itself. The backup process is managed by AVMR, and the disk-based target, as mentioned earlier, will be the data domain, which is internal. Since everything is managed from a single pane of glass, we are addressing the complexity of the traditional backup environment by giving you a single management of the backup and the data domain, and also upgrading the different elements of the appliance itself is bundled into a single firmware image. Single image. We can protect the IDPA in two scenarios. A, customers who are willing to have an on-prem DR solution to protect their data can have another IDPA appliance at a DR site, wherein you can replicate your IDPA from your production and production to the disaster recovery IDPA. The second scenario is you can protect your IDPA in your preferred cloud storage provider. In this example, we are going to be using AWS as an example in this demonstration. IDPA can be protected to an AWS cloud platform. This is done through a feature called Cloud DR, which is integrated into the IDPA appliance itself, and it's managed at the data protection central level. So as soon as Cloud DR is enabled, we will install an appliance. It will automatically install an appliance called CDRA, Cloud DR appliance, on your IDPA itself. At this point in time, when we install the CDRA, we will require customers to have an account on AWS in this instance to deploy an appliance called CDRS, which will auto deploy in your AWS account as soon as we enable CDRA. So once the CDRS is deployed, your data is automatically copied over to the S3 bucket on the AWS platform, and you've protected your data across the cloud service provider of your choice. The most important thing to note here is that all these operations are done on a single pane of glass, and also all your data which comes to CDRS is encrypted and compressed as well. So if customers want to invoke a DR in an IDPA protection zone which is protected on AWS, you'll have two scenarios. One is a complete DR, which is wherein your IDPA at the production site is completely unavailable. Two, if you want to restore a VM or a physical server which is not there on on the IDPA appliance on-prem and you want to restore it from your S3 scenario. The key thing to note here is there is no requirement for customers to have the compute or storage capacity on the AWS platform till this point in time, which means that customers don't have to pay for any other resources apart from minimal resources which are required for CDRS and the S3 bucket. So let's go through the first scenario where your production site is completely going to be unavailable. So while we deploy CDRS, there will be a plugin for VMware which will get deployed automatically. When you have a failover scenario where you'll want to run your virtual machines on AWS itself, that's when you'll require two components of AWS, which is EC2, which is the compute, and EBS, which is the block storage on AWS platform. This is the time when customers will have to pay for resources to use this to AWS. So as soon as you invoke the DR, VMware virtual machines will be deployed on EC2, and EBS will act as a storage. So in a failback scenario where your data center is going to come up, at this point in time, you will be able to fail over your virtual machines back to your production IDPA appliance. This is one failure scenario. The second failure scenario which we are going to discuss is there is going to be a virtual machine recovery which is required. Let's say, for instance, there is a virtual machine A which is deleted from the IDPA appliance, and you want that virtual machine to be restored from S3 bucket. You will be able to restore the specific virtual machine from your single pane of glass onto your IDPA appliance, just in case if you need it. In this way, you can have your virtual machine available even though it's not going to be available on your production system. Finally, there is one more feature which is really interesting, which is called as, again, it is based on cloud, which is called as cloud tier, wherein you can archive your data from your IDPA appliance directly to your cloud provider of your choice. As long as it is S3 capable, we can go to any cloud service provider. So what this gives customers is basically they can reduce the usable capacity on the data domain, wherein they can archive the data which is not required onto the cloud tier. What this will do is we will store a metadata on the data domain itself to store the information of where the data is going to be on your specific cloud, so that when you restore it, it's quicker because we have got a metadata of where your data is. As technical experts in our field, Constore Solutions can demonstrate IDPA on-site with your own data. Thanks for joining us, and I hope you found this useful.